Before we look to the Bala Town game, Scott, let's look back to the Carnarvon opening day fixture. As you said in your post-match interview, not necessarily happy with the performance, but it was 3 points and a clean sheet.
Yeah, and you always worry after a European game that the Sunday game's going to be a bit lacklustre, and you try and do everything you can to pick the players up. If they are tired, then there's not a lot you can do about that. But mentally, try and pick them up and encourage them to say, look, first game of the season, you've got to hit the ground running. There's no point getting draws and losing your first game to allow other teams to be above you in the league. We've had that scenario last year, and it's certainly a position I didn't want to be in again. So, reflecting on it after the game, yes, disappointed that some of our play wasn't up to scratch and as per normal, but you look at other teams, even in the Premier League, as a supporter you watch it, and teams that have had midweek games play on at the weekend and don't really do themselves justice but get the points, and at the end of the day we're not going to be looking back in 2 months' time about the performance of the first game of the season. It'll be that we picked up 3 points. That's the be all and end all for me.
And let's get the disappointments out of the way, because of course Europe, especially the final 2 games against Ludogorets, were disappointing for the New Saints. But going into the game against Bala Town on Friday, that will be 273 days since the team last tasted domestic defeat.
Yeah, a very long time, and we go back to the spell of results that we had in the run, and obviously the momentum that we had. It was fantastic, and coming in each week and planning for games was made pretty simple in the fact that training was very, very good at a high tempo, and that was just taken into games, and that's exactly where we want to get back to. I think Bala last season we drew 1-1 in the first phase of competition, and it was a stuttering sort of period, and then we went on to do well. But when you go to Bala, you can have one or two things. You can either be in a game where you struggle and they really put you under pressure, or you can come away totally dominant, that we did in the second phase of the games, where I think it was 7-0, which was one of our best performances of the season. I think Bala claimed the first 3 points of the season last Friday evening, and looked sharp. Like I've stated already, they've strengthened in wider areas, and looking positive there, and midfield as well. So it's going to be no easy game on Friday night.
That was my next question, actually, the Bala result. The last time we were at Maesteg, it's 7-0 victory, April the 3rd, this year, but last season. And those sorts of results, Scott, that TNS ended last season with, that's a great impetus to go to the new campaign.
It is, yeah. You look at the league form, and 2 draws and however many wins. I've lost count. You do look at the form record, and that's taken us into this season. This time last season, our second game, we had a loss. Let's make sure that we do everything in training this week and on Friday, building up to Friday's game, to ensure us that we get a better start than last season.
Bala themselves have been in the top half of the table for some seasons now, but they didn't qualify for Europe last time round. They'll be looking to get their club back on track, so it will be a difficult one on that front.
Of course, their main objective is to challenge on all fronts. Bala, a good squad, staff there have been there a long time, a lot of continuity in the football club, and they wouldn't want to miss out on Europe. They're a strong side. They're one of our obviously challenges over the last few years, and like I've said, they've strengthened as well. So they'll be looking for a positive reply from last season.
And going into the game, what's the availability of players as far as injuries are concerned?
Everyone's fit and ready, and we've got a squad of 22. Got a few boys going out on loan this week, but as far as injuries go, we've got a full squad to choose from.
And we will be announcing those loan periods, those loan deals in due course, of course, on the TNS website. But finally, we're going to invite fans to ask a question during the press conference. And Glyn Barrington, he asks, and I'll read it out as he wrote it: dare I ask, why Draper keeps being left on the bench.
Yeah, well, same story as last year. We've got three very good centre forwards. Greg, played his part on Sunday, so it's a matter of choosing the right centre forward for the right game. Greg scored a lot of his goals coming off the bench. Valuable member of the squad. Golden Boot the last 2 years. Excellent centre forward. And we have got two other ones that challenge him for a place in the starting lineup. We only play one centre forward. We play with somebody off him. Sometimes we might go to a two, but the style and the formation that we play, we stick to that. So they're the reasons why I rotate and use all three of our forwards throughout the season.
It's a team game, of course. I'd like to add to that, Scott, that although Greg perhaps didn't feature as much as he would have wanted to in the European campaign, when we go back to last season, the final 10 games for the New Saints, Greg started 7 and came on in the other 3.
Yeah, so if they all look at it, just looking at stats last night actually about how many games certain individuals did play, and whether they start or come off the bench. If they're making the contribution to the side and we're winning, then really I haven't got no other answers apart from it's a squad game and we're trying to use everybody we have at our disposal.